Hello friends, my name is Richest T. Welcome to the new video. I'd rather keep reading news like this. Popular crypto YouTuber Ben Armstrong has been arrested, but unfortunately that was a week ago. And today we live in a world that is filled with tragic events and many are wondering how they will affect the market. And there are a few things I can say with certainty. And today I want to talk to you about them. If you find something interesting or useful in this video, don't forget to support it with a like. It really helps the channel and me to find motivation to keep going. And let's start with the cryptocurrency exchange FTX, which at one time went loudly bankrupt. Sam Bankman-Fried and Caroline Ellison conspired to keep the price of Bitcoin below $20,000. They conspired every time the price of Bitcoin rose above $20,000 to sell it. And they were selling Bitcoins of exchange customers like me and you. I see endless comments that if this hadn't happened, Bitcoin would have been worth $100,000 a long time ago. Well, it happened. The point is, you can't predict the future because things happen along the way that no one expects. The fact is that the trend was downward in 2022. And that was clear as day. If we rely only on our emotions, it will invariably lead us into mistakes. We will succumb to the manipulation of the big players who hype up bulls, stories and news on social media if they want to sell. Or conversely convincingly spread panic messages when they want to buy. This is why most retail traders lose their money. Technical analysis, objective tools, fundamental analysis and endless hours of investigations are the way to try to understand what they do, not what they say. Yes, we don't do technical analysis, we use very little math. It's important not to be afraid of taking risks. We generally don't have things like stop losses. I believe that these are not the best tools for risk management. It's best to trust your eyes when looking at the chart. See what's really happening in the marketplace, rather than trusting the market propaganda that someone is spreading on social media and traditional media. Somebody is, in 99% of cases, the big players. The second point that concerns the FTX cryptocurrency exchange. Ellison admits that Sam bribed Chinese officials to unfreeze company accounts on the Hobby Lobby and OKEX exchanges, and tried to defraud customers of the FTX exchange in its final days. In addition, Sam tried to sic regulators on Binance to destroy a competitor. Let me get something straight. A centralized exchange such as FTX does not use blockchain to operate. Yes, a cryptocurrency exchange does not use blockchain. When you stored your money at a particular exchange address, it wasn't sitting on your wallet on the blockchain. If that were the case, and if the exchange was using that money for its own purposes, you would have been made aware of it immediately. But a centralized exchange like FTX, like Celsius, like Genesis, like Voyager and so on, doesn't work that way. Instead of all the money being stored on the blockchain, they store it in some centralized database like some banks. If we turn on a little critical thinking, for a moment, let's take a step back from the raging emotions that FTX's former clients are in and ask ourselves how much difference there is between FTX taking clients' money and then making unsuccessful speculations on the crypto market without using technical analysis, stop losses and math. And by the fact that on the other side we have the bankrupt Silicon Bank, which took client funds and made unsuccessful speculations with them in government bonds. Where's the difference? I, for one, don't see her at all. But just how many bankers went to jail after 2008? Kareem was the only U.S. banker to be sentenced to prison for his role in the 2008 financial crisis. And I think he was locked up for 2 years. And the rest of the bankers got bailouts in the form of government intervention and money instead of deadlines. Those poor guys, what a tough time they've had in the market. But today we already have a solution for that, blockchain, which is completely transparent and no one can hide their crimes anymore. Like every other bank in the world, FTX had a closed code, kept information secret, and spied on and censored its users. The antidote is open source finance, i.e., blockchain. You can't do what FTX and the banks did in 2008 on blockchain, because with its transparency, everyone can see if their money is there or not anymore. Interestingly, even Hamas has realized this, announcing as early as April 28, 2023, that it is suspending Bitcoin fundraising, which it had been doing for years before that. And you can see it on this chart. Look at the volume collapse. Why? Because the transparent nature of blockchain has made Western intelligence watch every transaction like bloodhounds. Hence the sudden drop in the chart. There's a reason why money laundering through Bitcoin is called a classically stupid crime, because the blockchain literally shines a light on everyone involved in illegal activity. And since we've already mentioned Hamas, let's move on to the tragic conflict in the Middle East between Israel and the gas sector. The conflict is widening. For example, Iran's foreign minister has warned that if Israel does not change course, the resistance will change what the map of the region looks like. In addition, the Iranian threatened Israel with a huge earthquake if it continued to attack the gas sector. The conflict between Hamas and Israel could turn into a regional war if Iran enters the war directly or indirectly. In addition, the Syrian military appears to be preparing to enter the conflict in response to Israel's bombing of Allepo airport. The bombing of Syria's second-largest airport came shortly after 2 rockets were fired from Syria into northern Israel. Syria's main pro-government media outlet is reporting this as a completely unprovoked attack, suggesting an attempt to garner popular support for a full-scale war with Israel. Israel, for its part, justifies the airstrike on the airport as necessary, pointing out that Syria allows it to be used to supply Hamas with military hardware and equipment. As more and more Arab countries join the fight, the risk of World War III increasing exponentially. And even Ray Dalio, a prominent billionaire investor, warns that the Israel-Hamas and Russia-Ukraine conflicts could spiral out of control and turn into a full-blown World War III. Many are now asking when the clashes between Israel and Hamas will end. In fact, when that happens, we may see a short-term pummeling in the market. Well, friends, unfortunately, we're not likely to see that anytime soon. No steps are even being taken in this direction. Conflict as such goes back some 3,000 years. Ever since King David. In 538 BC, the Persian king offered the Jews of Velen to return to Judea. Next, Muslims occupied Jerusalem during the Second Caliphate, and in 1999 Jerusalem was captured by Western Christian forces during the First Crusade. Until it was conquered by Muslims led by Saladin in 1187. He summoned the Jews and allowed them to settle in the city. Then there was the Ottoman era and so on. Unfortunately, the current situation is a guarantee that the violence will continue. I found a very interesting article on the subject. I will leave her translation in my Telegram, the link to it will be in the description. I recommend reading it in its entirety later. Here's her main conclusion. A violent riot is about as guaranteed as a sunrise. So, I'm not an expert on foreign policy. I'm not Jewish, I'm not Muslim, and I don't fully understand the complexity of this issue. But there are a few things I do realize, which I'm guaranteed to have confidence in, if I may say so. And the first of these things is propaganda. For example, anti-cryptocurrency politicians in the US will now use this event to try to hit the crypto industry harder. Many are already starting to bring up the fact that the Binance crypto exchange was a tool for Hamas money laundering. They somehow fail to mention that Binance helped Israel confiscate wallets linked to Hamas activity at the request of officials. Another major ruble exchange, Garantex, has been used to finance both Hamas and groups like Islamic Jihad. The exchange was established in Estonia in 2019, but then moved to Russia and is now operated from the Federation Tower in Moscow City. Now remember, facts are an optional element in propaganda. Screw the facts, you just have to repeat the right message enough times for it to finally be believed. Ryan Selkes writes that U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren is brazenly using the tragedy in Israel to blame cryptocurrency for its role in funding Hamas. But as we said, Hamas stopped using cryptocurrency in April of this year. Reuters reported that Hamas said it would stop receiving funds via Bitcoin, citing increased hostile activity against donors. Because, as I said, blockchain is actually completely transparent. So if someone is sitting in the US and sends money to someone the US considers a terrorist group, not only will they freeze the accounts of that group, but they can find the person who sent the money and put them in jail. It's like live streaming your crime on YouTube or tweeting. That's why Hamas abandoned Bitcoin. Look again at this graph that we've already talked about. The volume collapse is right around May 2023. Also, Ryan cites, Hamas might have preferred to go back to old traditional methods or come up with something new to fund instead of Bitcoin. I'm not saying criminals don't use cryptocurrencies. Absolutely, they use them. They also use the internet, cell phones, mobile internet, personal computers, SIM cards, messengers, and every other technology man has ever invented. Is the solution to ban all these technologies? It's bullshit for absolutely everyone. These technologies are very useful for all the law-abiding people in the world, and without them no business today can work. We must enable society to take advantage of new and useful technologies, but we also have a responsibility to catch criminals. And there has never been a better tool for uncovering financial crime, wrongdoing, terrorism and theft than blockchain. Blockchain would have been able to read the machinations of FTX before it collapsed. Blockchain can easily track terrorist financing. So when will the US senators who are so eager to champion cryptocurrency realize this? This is literally my cry. Well, realize already what technology lies in front of you and what it can do. But the fact remains. Their propaganda will soon be that cryptocurrencies amount to terrorist financing and crypto exchanges help terrorists launder money. Here's what they'll be saying. And I can almost guarantee that such an attempt will be made in the next few weeks. They will try to capitalize on this terrible human tragedy to advance their political positions. And if they succeed, it won't be good for the market. Short term, we may see prices fall. We may see the very black swan that has been rumored. The second fear is if this terrible conflict somehow escalates and spreads beyond this region. If it can be contained, it will likely no longer affect the crypto market. Let's take a look at history. If you look at the date of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it was February 24, 2022. It was right here. It's right here. So what happened to the market? The candle even closed higher on the day. Many people then in Ukraine and Europe became frightened and started looking for where the bunkers and bomb shelters were. I myself spent a week sleeping in basements every time there was an air raid. What about Bitcoin in the crypto market? It's okay. Nothing at all. But frankly, if God forbid this spiral of conflict, as Dalio predicts, spreads further, in which case money and markets won't interest me. After all, we will be talking about human suffering, the pain of which I understand very well, because I have felt it myself for the past 2 years. But, of course, if it happens and there is some effect on the public and businesses feel the effects, such as store closures or increased security measures, then of course it could crash the markets. Just like the coronavirus did. I really hope that this will not happen and that this escalation will simply come to naught. But the problem is that it's very hard to predict these things. After all, where a spark has been lit, a flame and fire can erupt at any moment. And I want to end today's video with this. I have lived in many countries around the world and I know for a fact that everywhere there are good, friendly and very warm people. But there are also idiots, let's be honest. I also see cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, which is global money on the internet, as truly inclusive and equal for everyone. Cryptocurrency is one area where it really doesn't matter who you are or who you believe in. Whether you live in Moscow, Kiev, Jerusalem, Gaza, Washington or Beijing. The only thing that matters is your brain. Once you first met someone at Uniswap or P2P market, being in exactly the same conditions. In fact, cryptocurrency is even more inclusive than the internet. After all, the same China has banned many things on the internet, many applications. Only mobile has the same level of inclusivity as Bitcoin. You can call anyone in China too. I am confident that global technology will continue to blur the differences between us. Differences that we have made up ourselves. And I will continue to bring this world together. Under one banner. Under the Bitcoin banner. My name is Rich D. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the new videos. I'll see you soon.